My name is Ryah, and you're watching Ryah's World.
Welcome to Ryah's World. Well, welcome to Ryah's World, where the thoughts run deep, the conversations are real, and the truth don't whisper, it speaks. Welcome to Ryah's World, where the mind goes free. Every thought in the universe floating endlessly. We talk love like truth unfurled. Let your voice be heard.
Alrighty, y'all. How are y'all doing on this lovely Monday? I'm your host, Ryah K. Welcome back to Ryah's World. The podcast is literally about anything, y'all. Now, with it being a Monday, I know people are getting back into the habit of, going back to work. Everybody's trying to get out of that weekend mindset. So we gonna once again do our 10-second meditation. Y'all, I was told to tell y'all the importance of meditation. It is so vital for us to do our breath work because it's so vital for us to do our breath work because in doing that, it connects our mind and our body and our soul. So if you're in a comfortable space, if you're somewhere where you can close your eyes, go ahead and close your eyes with me and let's take 3 real good deep breaths. Alrighty, y'all. Now this week's topic is gonna be a little bit of a rough one. It's gonna be a hard one, but when I circle it back around like Uncle Potatoes, y'all gonna understand why I had to tell y'all all of this. Okay? So we're gonna be discussing a kind of similar topic to what we discussed last week on a point of view. So viewers' discretion, domestic violence, and things of that sort will be mentioned, but I promise you it's all in good faith. Now, with that being said, was there something that you was ever so passionate about as a kid that it literally used to keep you up at night? Like something that you always knew deep down inside you wanted to do, no matter what anybody says, whether that was being an astronaut or, being a veterinarian and not like animals, something just really outlandish that the little kid in you had always, always pulled towards you? Have you ever heard of a human design chart? I'm pretty sure most of y'all are gonna say no. But I'm going to explain to y'all as to why how your human design chart and that urge that you had as a little kid literally goes hand in hand. So now as we progress through this conversation, please remember that this is a very open-minded podcast. Like I said, we will be discussing everything outlandish, everything that's in the stars. So this conversation we will be talking about, zodiacs, astrology, things of that sort. Just keep an open mind, and I promise you, it'll make so much more sense later. Now, let's take it back to the beginning. When I was a kid, when I was younger, thank you, Queen J. But when I was a kid and when I was younger, content creation, being in front of the camera, just expressing myself online had always been something that I wanted to do. I had a YouTube with my little sister growing up. Like I said, I was always put in front of the church. Like I said, I was always the living room entertainer. So doing that as a kid, it really like that's what I enjoyed doing. I enjoyed performing. I enjoyed putting myself out there. I enjoyed being the center of attention, honestly. And ever since I was younger and ever since that panel during middle school, I always told myself that I was going to be on a TED Talk. Like, I was going to tell my story to the world. Like, I had something that the world had to hear, and I was ready to tell it to them. And so, in middle school, I did debate and I did public speaking and I was in the Model UN. So, using my voice and being on a platform where I could spread information that I felt like would be helpful amongst the people, or tell a story that I feel like would be helpful amongst the crowd, I always did such. And that's always something that I wanted to do. Like I had a natural talent for speaking and holding an audience. And when I was literally in middle school, I used to tell people that I wanted to be the president of the United States. Like I literally had my middle school calling me Madam President. Like it got that serious. Even though I didn't know much about politics, I knew that people wasn't getting treated right. And I had to be the one to treat them right. So I lit from sixth grade all the way up until eighth grade. I had everybody calling me Madam President, Madam President, Madam President. Like they instilled it in me. And I promise you, you couldn't not tell me at the age of what, like 11, 12, that I was not going to be the president of the United States. If you ask me now to be the president of the United States, I'm going to tell you absolutely not. Everybody over here can kiss one. Anyways, because of that, and because life happens, I have always, I found myself getting quieter. And I found myself sheltering myself. And I found myself shrinking who I was. So I kind of lost that natural passion that I had for like public speaking, putting myself out there, being the center of attention. Um, I kind of lost all my creativity because I creatively expressed myself. I couldn't draw very well. Not the best at molding anything. So arts and crafts really wasn't my special suit. But talking, I've been a certified yapper since I was a kid. If anybody in my family asks you, if you ask them anything about me, they will tell you I talked a lot as a kid growing up. So, in losing myself a little bit and having to shelter myself, I even behind closed doors, I found a way to keep myself entertained. Like no matter what, I made sure that if nobody else could hear me or if I wasn't talking to anybody else, I was going to talk to myself. And so, because of that, I never really lost the gift, but I definitely did lose the passion. Me as a person, I kind of like to think of myself as like three people operating in one. So, like, my face and who I am right now is like my present self. My heart and how I feel is like my little kid self. And in my mind and the way that I think is like my higher self, or like the person that I'm always pushing to. And so when those three aren't in alignment, essentially, I kind of like lose track of what I'm actually here for, because there was things that used to keep me up at night, and there was dreams that I've had recurring as a kid of literally me being on the stage, like I have to be there, I have to be there, I have to be there. So the the love that I had for public speaking had never genuinely left. Like it's always been something that I wanted to do. But like I said, as life gets harder, it just you lose that passion as a kid. Like, and I feel like everybody has went through something similar to that. Like the older you get, you start hearing more and more people get into your ear saying, "Oh, you can't do this. You got to be realistic. You can't. That doesn't make any sense. Like, look at where you're at." And then you start looking around at your environment and the people that are around you, and you're kind of just like, maybe I can't do that. You know, maybe I do have to shrink myself to something quote unquote more realistic. Like maybe that's just not obtainable for someone like me. And in me moving to Houston, I feel like my environment completely shifted who I was as a person, and I really did lose touch with my soul. When I say a lot of stuff went down in Houston, it shaped me honestly for the better. Now that I've gotten out of most of that situation, I can say that it 100% has shaped me for the better and in becoming the person that I am today. But in the midst of me doing that, I had to pick up so many different personalities. I had to find a whole bunch of things that weren't necessarily meant for me, but that I was trying to fit myself into being. I found myself in spaces that I looked like I played the part for, but like emotionally and mentally and like subconsciously, I just wasn't there. And it's just like something in me told me, despite what everybody was telling me I should do, this wasn't it. Like, this wasn't what I wanted to do. And the things that I was doing in that moment was to please everybody else around me. And I go back home and sit on it and be like, was that even me? Like, did I fulfill myself or did I fulfill everybody around me? And so it's like every job that I had down there, it satisfied my face, I guess you could say in a way. Like I said, I operate in three, like it feels like three different people. And if you're a Gemini, I promise you, you have experienced something so similar to this. Like everybody says that we're two-faced. Everybody says, oh, there's two of y'all. No, there's genuinely three of us, and we're all three operating at the same time. But it's like when one of us takes over, it's kind of just like we overpower the other two, and we don't feel 100% fulfilled. It sounds so weird hearing myself talking third person. That is so crazy. That is so crazy. But yeah, the jobs that I had down there, I was serving, I was a bottle girl, I was dabbling into things I someone like me shouldn't have, So it's like my face fit the part, my mind kind of sort of fit the part, but my heart was so lost. Like it was so lost. And every day I would wake up and tell myself, this isn't me. This is not me. This is not who I'm supposed to be. Like this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Yes, it's satisfactory for the moment. And yes, it's something that I feel like right now I should be doing. But it's like I know in the long run that this isn't what I wanted to do. And so and going to college, I went to college blind. I did not know what I wanted to go in there for. I went in for pharmacy. I don't know why I did that. Math nor science is my strong suit. So it was an automatic no when I got there. And then I went in for medical assistance and I got my degree in that. But it's like, even in that, I necessarily don't think that that's 100% what I wanted to do. And I know deep down inside that that's not where my heart is pulling to. I feel like everybody can relate to this. You're so passionate when it literally feels like your heart is moving itself out out your chest, and it's like pulling you towards something, like physically actually pulling you towards something, like as much as you try to hide. And I know we've seen it in cartoons where like the heart is literally coming out the chest. Like when you feel passionate about something, it literally feels like that. And it was like something was always drawing me. I didn't know which direction it was drawing me into, and I don't know where I was going necessarily, but I knew that like it was something different. Like, did y'all have anything like that growing up? Like something that you were genuinely just so passionate about that it literally pulled at your heart every single time you were near it? Like you sensed it, you had something that like reminded you of it.
I can say for me, it was running track.
Mm.
Running track was my thing, and when I was off the track, yeah, I was Cameron, but when I was on the track, it was there goes Cam, there goes Cam, So that's where I was at with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to share today.
Anyways, Cam, see you're not playing fair today.
I'm not sharing.
Why are you not playing fair today?
It's not about me. This is about you.
Anyways, I know everybody else in the crowd besides one of you, since you want to be so different today. Y'all have had that passion that has all like used to obsess over it as a kid. I know, like especially with track, like because I ran track in high school, so getting on that track, I know what it feels like to be on that starting line and you waiting for that gun to push, like you waiting for it to click. Your heart just like fluttering out your chest. Your legs is weak, like you shaking in the blocks because you so anxious and you so excited to like take off. Like, and I know that that's something that would you ever revisit that?
I am 45 years old. I ain't running nobody's track.
I'm not saying you gotta run a track, but like, would you ever incorporate yourself back into like the track lifestyle?
Now, right now, I look at my son. My son plays college volleyball. So I look at him, and whenever I see him play, that my heart is jumping out the chest, and I get the butterflies and all that good stuff.
So would you say like sports would be your passion in a sense?
Well, no, because there was another passion of mine. Prior military, I loaded bombs and missiles. There's no bigger thrill to me than they say you got 20 minutes to load two jets full up with bombs and missiles, and just the rush of actually want to do it. Yeah.
So you like an adrenaline rush, like you like your heart fluttering right before you got to do something.
Not so much anymore. 45, you got high blood pressure, hypertension. I don't want my heart jumping no more.
And that's understandable. That is really understandable. That's interesting. Now that you say that, I feel like there's probably a lot of military men that still like feel that way. Like they get that adrenaline rush. Like,
glory days.
that's what y'all call it.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Glory Days and Mr. Wannabe Sister, what you say? My name says it all. And you see, you're living out a real life manifestation. Like when you were a kid, you wanted to be famous. And look at you now. You sitting in front of a crowd of however many people are watching you. You don't know how many people are watching. You see, that little boy in you is screaming and jumping right now.
He gets satisfied every Thursday at 7 p.m.
He is
So
fed.
he said every Thursday. All right, we got a couple comments. Miss James says, "Thank you for giving us that explanation for the meditation. Have a great show." Mr. Wannabe says, "Speak it into existence." He said, "Yes, you can talk." Ms. James says, "Manifestation and daily affirmation are important." Mr. Royce, old school, says, "Rule number one, be true to yourself." It's Mr. Ricky James said, "Always keep it 100." His name says it all, Mr. Wannabe. And let's go. We got Royce. Again, he says, "Thought I would be a rapper until the first taste of stage fright." Yo, I did not know. Go ahead, school.
Never mind.
All right, we got one more. Miss Red Jack. I started college majoring in speech pathology, changed my major about 3 more times, graduated with a bachelor's in early childhood, had my kids, found therapy, and switched again to mental health. All right, Miss Red Jack. I mean, some of us gotta.
She got another.
Oh, that's what's up. Well, hello. Yeah, some of us, some of us, we walk it out, but then you say, we got to find a new path.
Sure.
We got one more. She said, "Finally landed on being a therapist in my 30s, and I know this is where I'm supposed to be." So, yeah, I heard that. 100%. You landed the plane, so
100%.
I heard
You
that.
see, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Because it's just crazy. Like I told you, like I said to you, how that little boy in you is jumping out and he's jumping for joy every Thursday. Like little girl me, when I go back home after being here, I just dance it out because it's just like she had time to shine. Like me in middle school, she would be ecstatic to be sitting in front of an audience and being able to talk about whatever. Like she's definitely happy right now. She was 100% happy. Yeah, you got to go through a lot of trials. I know I'm young, I know, but I feel like you got to go through a lot of trials to remember who you were. Like I said, a lot happened in Houston, and even prior to Houston. But I feel like Houston was a catalyst to who I am now because I've learned so many lessons. Like I've learned so much through those lessons that it kind of reminded me like you don't got to take life as serious and you can always. Oh, I said what I said. I'm too long. Okay, we're gonna get back to that. But yeah. You need to help me. You gotta break it down. But yeah, even though I'm 21, even though I'm young, experience does not come with time. Okay, that's what you wanted me to say. Experience does not come with time. And I've experienced a lot and I've gained a lot of knowledge. And I feel like the most important lesson that I've gained through it all is the fact that, like, no matter what you go through, be true to yourself and remember, like, life is not that serious. So, like, we going to get back to that. We're going to circle back to that life lesson because it was like a very pivotal moment in Houston where I feel like life just I jumped timelines like and we're gonna talk more on what it's like what time like how timelines and everything like that works because when I feel like I left one life and I flipped to a completely different life in like an overnight. I switched timelines and I experienced probably every every way that they probably ever described hell on earth. I experienced that. Like literally my 20th birthday, a couple weeks before my 20th birthday, I had found out that a pillar to my life, my great grandpa, was diagnosed with brain cancer. And then 2 weeks after that, I was stuck in a hurricane by myself where there was an 80-foot bayou in front of me. I wake up the next morning, the bayou looks like a swimming pool. Trees is gone, benches have disappeared, everything is just it's destructive. And then I live in Third Ward, Houston at the time. So if y'all know anything about Houston, if y'all know anything about Houston roads, if y'all know anything about Houston highways, if y'all just know about Houston and flooding, period, that was probably the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my life. And to be by myself when it was four of us in a house, I was petrified. And it was just like, I just received some really absurd news. Like, it blindsided me. I'm living in Houston. I probably talk to my family once or twice every week. And that's probably one family member. Like, and they calling me on for 5 minutes talking about, how are you? Okay. We making sure we can still hear you. Cool. Like, that's the most amount of conversation that I had pretty much when I was in Houston. So it's like, to get blindsided by this news, to then get hit with a major hurricane, and then to celebrate my 20th birthday. It was like, okay, I thought I had a break on my birthday. 2 weeks after my birthday, I'm in Cali. I'm with my entire family pretty much. We're there for my little sister's albinism convention. We're having a grand old time. Mind you, it's like I've never been to Cali, but it was like I belong there. Like being next to the water, being in the sun, just being one with nature. I knew I belonged there. Like, so the little girl in me, she was just so happy to be there. I'm sitting there relaxing on my vacation. Like, this was my first flight. I had never been on a plane before. I'm happy I made it. So I'm celebrating life. And then I get a phone call from my property manager. She calls me and she's like, yeah, 72 hours after you come back from your vacation, you have to vacate your apartment. Completely blindsided because I'm going to school every day, pretty much. I'm working until 3 a.m. every day. So it was like, how how did this happen? I called somebody who I thought I could trust in. And immediately after I get on the phone with her, I'm every word in the book except for a child of God. And I'm just like, I'm completely blindsided. Like, life has just whooped me for the last 2, 3 weeks. I thought I caught a break, get on my vacation, and now I'm saying I got 72 hours to vacate or I'm gonna be evicted. So at this
What
point,
the hell did you just say?
but when she called, I'm standing on the beach, right? Standing on the beach, toes in the sand. I'm sunbathing. I'm feeling good, feeling great. I see mind you, my bills is always paid on time. My rent is always paid on time. It was never no issues with the apartment complex. So I was really like, what's going on? She said she couldn't disclose necessarily all that had happened, but definitely. But she said, basically she had got an email thread worth of complaints against me from all of my roommates and all of their parents. I would like to think that I'm a pretty good person. I like to think I'm a pretty good person to live with. I like to think I'm a pretty good person to be a friend to, or a friend with. So couldn't understand, and it was like they were attacking my character, like they were attacking who I am at the core. Because I feel like everybody now, especially here, sees that I'm not a very serious person. I laugh at everything. I got two left feet. Like, I really don't. I don't take much of life serious. So it's like, for somebody to sit here and say that I have an email thread worth of complaints against me, I was genuinely confused because it's like, what did I do? So sure enough, God had to sit me down because like I said, I was so confused. I was questioning God every day. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? Why am I here? What is the point of me going? Like, what is the point of me having this back to back news? And when it came to my great grandpa, I don't even call him great grandpa. When it came to my papa, he is such, like I said, he's such a pillar to who I am. He's such an important part of my character. He honestly is where I get the unseriousness from. This man is like 85, pushing 85. He's fishing every weekend. He's cooking every weekend. He's the one that's sitting here. He's shooting the raccoon, shooting the squirrels, and he laughing about it. He laughed at everything. But the only way that you could get him to laugh, he was really funny. So like that's how you knew he was extra extra funny. Like he was somebody that lived life to the fullest and never took anything serious, but knew that like life is short. So I got to be who I've always wanted to be without people telling me who I wanted to be. So it's just like when I got that news, it was like my character was double attacked because it's like basically the person that taught me how to be like this, he 3 hours away laying on his deathbed essentially, and then hear somebody go saying that I'm X, Y, and Z. Well, me personally, I know I'm not. And so after me constantly questioning God, like, okay, who am I? Like, I know who everybody telling me I am, but like, who am I? He posed a better question. He said, "Do I love myself and do I trust Him?" And in the way that he asked that, it wasn't like I was just sitting in my room, thinking about it, trying to figure it out. No, he genuinely hit me over the head. Like that same day after coming back from Cali, I thought everything was good. I get blindsided. Me and two of my other friends, yeah, we end up getting into a physical altercation with 15 other people. Now, let me describe to y'all. I'm like 5'4", 140. My other friend, she's like 4'10", 100 pounds even. My other friend, she's like 5'8", 110. So for us to get blindsided and for us to get into a physical altercation, and we could call a spade for a spade, we genuinely got jumped. It was like he was like, okay, you keep asking me that question, you keep asking why I keep pushing you in all these different directions. I'm gonna show you here. So that's exactly what he did, and it took for me to get jumped. It took for me to go to jail, for me to be like, okay, let me really figure this out. Like, let me figure out what he's genuinely trying to tell me. And it's like, part of me wanted to hear what he had to say, but part of me wanted to go do my own thing. And it was like, in the midst of me doing that, he asked me once more, okay, do you really love yourself? And do you trust me? Or are you just going to keep going with what everybody else is telling you to do? Because immediately after that, I had to move out. After I moved out, ended up in that very toxic relationship that we was talking about on a point of view. And it was just like, I tried so hard to stray away from, I wanted to be grown so bad, honestly. I wanted to neglect the little kid in me so bad that it got to a point to where my safety became at risk every single day. And it was just like every single day I would pose the same question. Okay, so what am I supposed to be doing? Why is all this stuff happening to me? But I was ignoring that voice that I had in my head telling me to leave. So every moment that I was at my externship and he told me, go ahead and when he told me that he was gonna pull up, I always heard that voice in my head saying, baby, just get all your stuff and go and we'll figure it out later. But in me, I was just like, nah, I'm gonna figure it out. I got this. Like, I'll figure it out. I'll toughen it out. It took for 5 months of genuine torment, what it felt like. Genuine torment. Me going through every single emotion, me being angry, me being frustrated, me being anxious, me being sad, me literally being numb over and over again every single day for 5 months straight. For me to understand that where I was, the environment that I was in, and what I was doing was not serving the purpose in my life mission. It took for my homeboy to point it out to me, and this is why I say it's very like it's so important as young men for y'all to start calling y'all homeboys out, and it's so important for young men to not only call out your homeboys, but like interfere when y'all see something happening in the street. And I know it's like, oh well, people might got guns, my safety be at risk. But if your heart is telling you to genuinely intervene into something, if your heart is really just pulling you to like help somebody out, please help somebody out. Because my homeboy said that he was gonna sit on it and he wasn't gonna say too much about it. He was gonna let me figure it out. But when I say God and like everybody that had came before me was literally talking to him through that day, talking through him that day, he told me, right, I'm looking at you and I don't know how many more. He basically said he didn't know how many more days he had to look at me. He didn't know how many more days he would have to lay his eyes on me because it was getting to a point to where he he knew something was going on, but now he could see that something was going on. It was apparent. I'm popping up with bruises. I got black eyes. I got scratches all over my face. I'm limping, shoulder out of place. I'm still trying to rehab my shoulder. And it's because I was being hard headed. And it's like when you're giving signs over and over and over again, telling you that you need to go, telling you that where you're at in life is not meant for you, you gotta go because it's not just It's not just the voice that's in your head is not you speaking to you. Like that's not just you talking to yourself. That is God coming to you. That is your ancestors coming to you. That is like prophetic beings literally telling you what to do because they can't say it out loud. Like when you hear that voice or when you hear people talking and they are like, it sounds like it's not even them talking, but it's somebody talking through them. Please listen because it was a point in time where I was questioning my life purpose so bad, but I had put myself in so many situations that I was just ready to give up. And it's like if I would have gave up, I would have never been here. And so with that, I had to it became a point to where I had to put my pride aside. I had to let my ego go. I had an ego death. The last couple of days within me being in Houston, I had an ego death. I had to really think like, do I like that question that I that had kept posing in my head over and over again? Like, why is this happening to me? What is my life purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? Like, I had to repeat that question over and over again. And this is why manifestations and affirmations and talking to yourself in the mirror is so important because I had to look myself in the mirror. And although it wasn't necessarily the most positive talk, I'm not encouraging bad talk to yourself in the mirror because that's very powerful. But it was stern talk because nobody around me was talking to me the way that I needed to be talked to. And it wasn't like I was talking to me. Somebody was talking through me. And I those last couple of days I had to have an ego death where it was just like, Ryah, do you love yourself? Like, do you genuinely love yourself? Or are you gonna love these fake feelings of love? Or are you gonna love the money that you're getting from the clubs? Or are you gonna love the fact that you're in front of these types of cameras, these cell phones, because people recording yourself? Are you gonna love that more than you love yourself? Are you gonna continue that superficial love, or are you finally going to hear what I gotta say? Are you finally going to be honest with yourself in the fact that this is not what you're meant to do? Like, this is not who you are. This is who everybody has stacked on top of you to be. And it's so easy when there's so many people around you saying the same thing over and over again that you don't even realize that you've lost your whole identity. You don't even realize that you lost your whole mission. You don't even realize that you lost your whole purpose of self. And so it's like, in having that ego death, I once again lost myself. I feel like I've lost myself at least 4 times in my life. And I feel like every time I've lost myself, I've gained a better one. And with that, I went through probably, I don't know, it was rougher. Me being in a relationship or me having to fix myself from that relationship. Me having to build myself back up from that relationship because it's like when you have people pouring so much negativity into you over and over again, and this is why it's genuinely important for you to have people that pour positivity into you, because when you have so many people around you that just pour negativity into you over and over and over and over again, it gets so easy to believe them. It gets so easy for you to think that who everybody is telling you are, you are. And it was like I was letting everybody get to my head, whether it was good or bad. I didn't know who Ryah was for real. I just knew I was a pretty redhead that went to TSU. That's all I knew because that's what everybody was telling me. And it was just like, when I was sitting at home, who am I? Like, so when I got back home, when I got to Austin, and I'm sleeping on the couch every month. I mean, every day. When I'm basically at ground zero, I had to really figure out, okay, I can't live my life no more for everybody else. Because when I was living my life for my family, I went to school and hated it. When I was living my life for my friends, I ignored all red flags and I got jumped. When I was living my life for that boy, I let him get in my head and he almost tried to off me. You feel me? So it's like I got home, sat down, thought about it, and I'm like, okay, who am I? Like, really? Because I feel like sleeping on the couch is a very humbling experience. That builds so much character in a person, especially when you're at home sleeping in the couch. Because it's like, you have no place to go. Like, you felt like you were at home, but I'm sleeping next to the dog. Like I just went from having my own apartment, living by myself for 3 years, being Miss All High Mighty. Now I'm sleeping next to the dog.
Trying to look busy. Every time
Right.
you see somebody, you trying to look busy. You ain't got nothing else to do. Just get up and start cleaning up, just doing shit. Because you want to look
I
busy.
ordered the same covers over and over and over again. I've walked in circles over and over and over again. I picked up every little thing with my nails on the carpet over and over and over again. And then it got to a point to where like I no longer it got to a point to where I began shacking up. And it wasn't shacking up in a way like, oh, I want to feel satisfaction. No. It was shacking up in a way where I wanted to feel a sense of normalcy. I wanted to sleep in a bed. You know how degrading it felt being 20 years old, sleeping next to your mama? And I love my mom. I love my mom. I will never. But it's like to go from having my own place, being in my own space, being able to close my own door, having my own bathroom, having my own big old closet and everything. So now I'm sleeping next to the dog in my home.
Well, God took you through that process, like you said. He wanted you to find out who you was, and he wanted you to trust him. That's why sometimes we have to be careful about what we ask for, because the first thing he gonna give you is exactly what you're looking for. Can you trust me, and do you love yourself? So, with all of the superficial things that you was doing in Houston, he couldn't get your attention.
I was so distracted.
Yeah, he had to strip you back.
You know how easy it is to get distracted in Houston? Like I said, Houston introduced me to pretty privilege. Like, I did not really know that. I went to a predominantly white high school. I literally went to high school in Round Rock. I went to a Mexican middle school. Like, in elementary, of course, we're not worried about that. So it's like when I get to Houston and I'm surrounded by a whole bunch of black people and I'm surrounded by a whole bunch of black dudes that got money, yes, the distractions was there. Like, it was such a flashy life that I was living. I didn't know what I like. Who was I? Like even when I look back at the videos, even when I look back at like the snaps, because honestly, Houston started like my weed addiction, and me, I was wholeheartedly no drugs, no nothing. Like high school, I was like, no, I'm running track. Like I'm trying to make sure my body is right. I'm trying to keep my vessel together. Get to Houston, oh, complete flip. Like
all the bad stuff.
Right.
All of the things your mama told you not to do.
I did it. I did it. Hey, the only thing I didn't do was get pregnant. Hey, that's a plus, though. That's a plus.
Why is that a norm?
Why is that a norm?
Like,
well, it's a difference. Not to bring race into this, but it's a difference. We send our kids to college to learn, to get a career. White people send their kids to school to explore.
Experience.
Yeah, you experience life and explore. That's what you did. You went in and experienced.
You know what it was?
The highs and the lows of life.
If we're speaking in terms of race, when it comes to black parents, they try to shun out relationships and having partners and, being with somebody so much when you're in high school. Like, I feel like we can all say that we've been through a similar experience. Oh, you better not bring no little girl to my house. Oh, you better not bring nobody in my house. Oh, you better not be sneaking around, stuff like that. So it's like, if it's not normal in a house, when you go to college and you are free range to do whatever, you're going to do whatever. Because I never got that experience of having somebody in my house or, introducing people to my parents or, bringing somebody around my family in high school. So then when I got to college and I'm like, oh, it's free range for anybody to do anything, like, I don't have to ask nobody for nothing. I don't got to sneak around and do nothing. Yeah. And so that's how most girls end up getting trapped, because it's like they went from never having a privilege to do that to now all of a sudden, oh, I get to do whatever I want. And nobody's using protection in college. Like, that's not like most of these babies is one night stand babies because they didn't came home after the party and got lit and now they shacking up and oops, now she pregnant. Like, stuff like that. It's not very. It's not like we're not taught to have healthy non-sexual relationships growing up. But as soon as we get to college, always do whatever you want to do. I didn't say that though.
But I think that's
I love my mom.
I think that's what it is. A lot of y'all, like the generation gap, like the old versus the young, like how y'all say we talk at y'all instead of to y'all. Like I'm that type of parent. I tell them, hey, you better go to the doctor every 30 days.
Don't get
Don't
checked.
Most parents aren't.
Don't
Like
tell
most
me what
black
you're
parents,
doing.
it's sex and being in a relationship and having a partner is so taboo. Like even now, I feel like it's kind of taboo for me, and I'm 21, and it's just like you know, we don't parents don't necessarily create comfortable spaces for kids to even feel like that's normal, and then that's how like
The
SAs be happening
the
because
secrecy happens.
yeah, it's so yeah, they want to sneak around and do stuff like that, and it's like when you sneak around and you ain't never been taught nothing, you gonna do whatever, and it's like you gonna fuck around and find out.
Well,
Unfortunately,
most parents are sneaking around fucking too. Like they don't.
They weren't going to HEB at 11 o'clock at night. I'm sorry, Ma.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
but they know,
We're comedians.
But they know, like most
it's all like
most adults are having unhealthy relationships and unhealthy sex practices, so they don't want you to do it because they're ashamed of the person that they're bringing around, or they don't want you to see the person that they're bringing around. And I think we need to normalize having these conversations with our kids.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do. I tell them straight up.
But you're one of very few. Like most sexual education that a kid's gonna get before they graduate high school is through the school, and all they teaching is this is where this goes. This does this, and that's how a baby's made. Like nobody is really necessarily.
Don't tell you the ugly.
They don't tell you about the ugly. They just tell you how it goes, and that's just that. This goes here. This does this. You do this. Now you have a baby. No, they're not teaching you that. Okay, so what happens after you have a baby? Like, what happens whenever the baby does come? How does that affect a woman's body? How does that affect a woman's mental? Like, do you know about sexually transmitted diseases? Do you know how they're spread? You know, stuff like that. Kids aren't taught that. We're not taught that in sexual education, and parents aren't teaching that because they're like, oh, sex. The more that you hide it, the more they're gonna want to go look for it.
I talk to them about it, boy. Don't come here grab yourself.
All right, before we shift, let's get to these comments real quick.
Yeah, it's a lot of them.
We got Mr. Lamont, aka Uncle Tay. He said, "Wow, baby girl." Mr. School said, "Everything in life happens for a reason. Sometimes you just gotta take it on the chin." Miss Red Jacks, come on, Ego Death. Let's see what else we got. Say, Houston will take you fast. That's why I got the hell out of Dodge, and of course for my wife. Go on, School. Miss Red Jack said, yes, it does. In between everything, 25 says, get us together, Ryah. Let's see what else we got. All my mother told me about sex growing up was to keep your dress down and legs closed. I can respect that, Miss Red. I can definitely respect that because, I tell my son, hey, don't bring it out.
But that makes kids curious when you tell them not to do something. It makes them curious of why. And you're not educating them.
Why do you think kids get curious about when you tell them not to do something? Because if discipline was in order, then what you said is law. So you don't go outside of what you're saying.
All of our kids are bad when we're not around.
No, it's the phone.
Oh.
You gotta realize you're telling them not to do it, but it's people on social media blasting it. They blasted it. Even if they're not talking about sex directly, you gotta realize how easy it is to search up twerk videos. You gotta realize how easy it is for you to go. There's a site on Twitter that I'm pretty sure kids in like middle school know about. It's so easy for them to see that. So it's like, okay, you telling me that I can't do that? I'm seeing people do that. Now I want to go do that. You feel me? Because it's like, why are you telling me about it if I'm not supposed to do it? And why can I see them doing it if they're not supposed to do it?
I don't know. I would still have to go back to the discipline, and it's
but
like
you can only discipline your kids so much. If your kids are out,
they're gonna do what they want to do when they ain't around. You just gotta hope. Like me and my old lady, we talk about it all the time. Yeah, they gonna fuck up, right? They gonna do stupid shit. We did too, but we just trust and believe that the foundation we set for them, they gonna remember it in those times when we're not around. Of course, they're not gonna do exactly what we say, how we say it. They'll do it in our face. That's the sign of a good kid, right? That's how they learn how to manipulate us. They do everything we tell them to do in front of us. I knew so many whores that were great kids to their parents, but boy, they just come to school no drawers on. But they at home, they straight A students in school. They did everything they could, but they were just wow.
You know who that sound like? No.
It's exactly. They told us. Yeah,
I'm about to say we ain't talking about a real.
No. But Nunu
ATL.
Nunu was
a straight A student in front of her parents.
But she was all in the hood at the skating ring.
Smacking her gum. Girl, your swoop is slick to your forehead. You don't got the little curly swoop. When you with your parents, it's slick to your forehead.
And she ain't got. I'm talking about. She ain't got no hood in her at all.
Not none. Not a damn.
Right?
Her dad had veneers.
She studied from the best, right? Like I tell my kids, I tell my kids all the time. I'm not gonna. I tell Ryah the same thing. I'm never gonna tell you what you want to hear. I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear. And if I don't bother you in some capacity, if you think about, man, I want to be get on my damn nerves, that means I'm effective.
Cool. What you think about that, Ryah?
If you get on my nerves.
No, I mean just in general. Like if somebody tells you something you don't want to hear, is it more effective, or again, does it make you curious?
I mean, because the thing is, if you tell me what I want to hear, I'm gonna just register it and move on. If you tell me what I don't want to hear, I'm probably gonna be like, I don't want to hear this right now. But then I'm gonna go sit back and think on it and be like, let me think about that one. Like, let me think why they said that. Let me figure out, because like if somebody gives me some like unwanted advice, I'm gonna just be like, all right, I don't really want to hear it right now. But then I'm gonna go back and sit and think, okay, first of all, why did they even say that? And then I'm gonna really digest and process the information. Like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But if you tell me what I want to hear, I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, yeah, you agree. All right, move on. I'm not hearing what you have to say after that. You told me what I wanted to hear.
Mama used to say, hard head make a soft ass.
My mama loves saying that.
And if you at least you give them the information, they're gonna go out there and do it their way, right? But then eventually they'll figure out they can't reinvent the wheel. They have to you have to let them figure it out. Like I tell my grandkids all the time, stove hot, don't touch it. Yeah, if you go touch it, I ain't finna patch it up. Oh, it hurts. I told you, sit down somewhere. Now you ain't gonna go back and touch the stove.
Yeah, you gotta learn your lesson. As a parent, you can only tell them so much. They gonna have to go out there and experience it in order for them to know, okay, this is not what I want to do.
Yeah, you make your bed, you sleep in it, right?
Yeah, honestly.
Understood. Got Ricky James say we had to pray for our kids when they got out in the streets.
And that just goes back to how like your environment will play a huge role in who you are as a person. Like you can mold your kid into one way, but as soon as they get outside, it's like, okay, so who is this kid? But speaking of environments, because I had hit rock bottom, and because I had to basically reinvent myself, like really figure out who Ryah was. I had quit my job. I had finally retrieved the last of my stuff from Houston. I was nearing the end of my court battle with not only the charge that I had got from the fight, but also the restraining order that I was trying to put against old dude. It was like I was nearing a new me. It's like I was in that gray area for those last couple of months. And when New Year's came, it was like a completely different energy. It was a whole different switch. My case got dismissed January 16th. And that same day, the people that I had gotten into the altercation with, they had ended up texting my phone. It was really like rah, rah, rah. And I was like, instead of me being hurt about it, I took it to the chin and I was like, oh, okay. People still care about me. I'm still getting under their skin. So let me take this in, let me alchemize this, and let me like level up, because now I'm finna listen to what everybody's saying and I'm finna flip everything. Now everything that everybody had ever told me, I'm a really just digest that, and I'm a really become that. So y'all want me to be the villain so bad, I'm gonna become the villain. So when New Year's came, it was like a completely different switch, a completely different energy. I was getting constantly rejected over and over again because I was trying to go into a field that I had got my degree in medical assistance. And because I had the charge on my record, everybody was denying me. Nobody was trying to take me. And it used to hurt me so bad because it's like, my family wants me to do this. I want to do this for them so bad. Like, I want to be in the medical field because a lot of people in my family are a part of the medical field. And I was like, I want to do this for them so bad. I don't want to disappoint them. But like, wholeheartedly, I was actually fine with not working there. Like, I was actually fine with most of the denials. I think what was hurting me more was the fact that I was hurting them by what may have seemed like not any progress. Like, they weren't seeing me make any progress. So it was like, it was coming back onto me. And I'm just like, man, I'm messing up in life. Like, I'm not where I need to be. I'm not where I'm supposed to be. Like, I know that that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, why am I not there? Why? And then he slapped me on the head again, and he was like, "Let me show you something. Let me take you to where you need to go. Not the fast route, of course, but let me take you. Get my job at Finish Line. There, I meet the most amazing people. I'm still friends with the people that I work with to this day. That's where I met my boyfriend. So, and then even me working at Finish Line, I wasn't even supposed to work there. I was supposed to apply for a whole different shoe store. Didn't even realize that shoe store was in the mall. So I'm trying to figure out why. I didn't even necessarily, the job that I was going to apply for, I didn't even know was a job at the mall. So I applied for a totally different job, thinking that that was the job that I was supposed to be applying for. I get there, she asked me, okay, who referenced you? I tell her Kira. She's talking about, don't know who she is. She might work at Shoe Palace. Once again, didn't even realize that Shoe Palace was in the mall. Get to Finish Line. I meet some of the most amazing people. In Finish Line, that's where my spark came back, because I had a store manager. Her name is Reese. She had she was a sapio. Like, she was a like she loved hearing people talk. Like, she loved getting into the nitty gritty of people. So, of course, everything that just went down, they asked me, oh, okay, what made you want to work here? And I'm like, y'all, I really don't know how I got here. Like, I was supposed to be working in the medical field. Now I'm here. I'm just as confused as y'all. So, as I'm telling everybody my story, you could tell it's like, it's I don't know what was connecting on their end, but I could see that a part of my story was resonating to them. And in me seeing that, I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, this is my time. Like, this is my time to shine. So not only am I just telling people stories, but I work with so many young girls there. I was pouring so much love into them, and I was pouring so much of the fact of like self love, and the importance of standing firm on what they know to be true to themselves, not necessarily listening to the outside voices. And it just felt so healing to me. And with me being an older sister, it just felt so natural to me. It felt like that's what I was supposed to be doing. And that heartstring that pull at the heart that I was talking about, my heart was literally being pulled I didn't enjoy the job. It was easy, yes, but like, that's not what I was going there for. I was going there to do outreach. And so it's just like, by this point, I had started, I guess you could say, my content journey. And that's when I had started putting myself out there and really just saying, like, hey, one day I'm gonna keep shooting, I'm gonna keep throwing this, and it's gonna land one day. So I open up a little bit more, and I get to telling everybody at work. I was telling my boyfriend and then our coworker at the time, Ash, I'm like, y'all, I really want to do content creation. Like, I think that's really what I want to do. Like, by this point, I was like, I like retail, but I had never did retail before, and I had just became one of the supervisors, and it was getting really stressful. And I was like, y'all, I don't think I want to be here for too much longer, but I don't want to know what I want to do next. And so it was just like, do the content, put yourself out there. That's who you're supposed to be. And I was just like, are y'all sure? Like, I don't necessarily see what y'all see. And they was like, bro, just do it. And then they were the ones that literally kept me on top of it. Like, every time I would come into work, they would be like, okay, you put yourself out there, you did a video, You did what you said you was gonna do, or are we gonna have to make you do it? And so it's just like, okay, if people see something in me, I need to start seeing it inside of myself. So eventually I end up quitting the job, but I kept in touch. And of course, my boyfriend is still pouring into me. Do it, do it, do it. Even when everybody around me is telling me, nah, content creation, doing that's not necessarily like a job, like that's not necessarily gonna get you paid. At this point, I don't have any bills. I just got to make sure I got enough gas in my car to get me to and from work. I just got to make sure I got enough money in my bank account to make sure I eat something for lunch. So it's like, what priorities am I necessarily supposed to be paying for? Like, what am I making all this money for? Like, I can sit here and stack up all this bread for what? Like, I'm not going to be fulfilled because I'm still sitting in the same place that I was 4 years ago. So he's still constantly pouring it into me. And I end up having to have a tonsillectomy. And if anybody knows, that is the removal of your tonsils because I had chronic tonsillitis for 7 years. And this is why I say it's also genuinely so important for you to continuously, like I said, the first episode, your body will tell you when you're not okay. And because I was holding so much in, because I had become so quiet, because I had become so sheltered over the last couple years, it was sitting in my throat. So I had my tonsillectomy. I get them removed. Sure enough, I regained my voice back. I was afraid that the tonsillectomy was going to take away my singing voice, just for me to regain a whole different voice and regain a whole different perspective of life. Because it's like, now I didn't have no vocal restrictions. Now I didn't have nothing that was holding me back. Now that lump in my throat didn't feel as big. Now it felt like something I could genuinely swallow and let pass through. So once again, the stars align. I end up at the shoe store that I was initially supposed to end up at. I get there, everything's going great, everything's going dandy until it wasn't. And it's so crazy because I mentioned in first episode, but literally the day that me and want to be met in that shoe store, I was not supposed to work. I wasn't supposed to work, and it's crazy because right before he walked into the store, I was actually in the back messing with stuff. That whole day I had been messing with stuff. So it's like everything happened genuinely how it was supposed to. Me, I don't like texting nobody back, and everybody will tell y'all that. I was like, do I really want to? Do I really want to, do I trust it? But my heart kept pulling me to it. My heart kept pulling me to just being like, okay, do it. Put yourself out there. What's the worst that could happen? So it's just like, I have, I'm looking at my environment around me. I'm listening to what everybody is telling me. Nah, that's not gonna work. It's not gonna happen. You're not gonna make no money in that. You know how long it's gonna take for you to get there. You know how much you gotta do. You know how much time and work you gotta put in. I'm looking at everything that everybody is telling me around me. But I'm feeling what I'm feeling. Like I feel in my soul that like this is what I'm supposed to do. I did not ghost you, okay? My texting back skills are just a little subpar. Okay? Anyways, I knew what I was seeing, I knew what I was hearing, but I knew what I was feeling. And like I tell you, I feel like I operate in threes. I feel like my mind, body, and soul have to be connected for me to be fulfilled. My mind is telling me one thing. Listen to your family. Listen to everybody. Don't even do it. My environment, like where my body is at physically, is telling me, nah, you're not gonna make it out of this. You're gonna be stuck here for another 3 4 years, trying to figure your life out. But my heart kept telling me, like, this is not you. Like, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. Like, and I never stopped feeling that feeling in my heart. And I knew that one day my heart was genuinely going to draw me to where I needed to be. Now, I remember in the beginning when you remember in the promo when I had asked, when I had said, bring your friend, bring some drink, a little snack, bring your birth certificate. We're going to circle back to the human design chart, right? Because basically your human design chart is your life story, but cosmically. If you go, there's ways that you can have professionals do it. There's ways that you can do it yourself. What I did is I went online, typed in my birthday, typed in the time that I was born, and it gave me basically like my whole map of who I am as a person. And Because I couldn't necessarily read what was being told on the mat, I asked ChatGPT. I said, based on, sorry, let me get back to it. Based on my human design chart, how successful would I be in podcasting and why? Mind y'all, like I said, I've been a talker since I was a kid. For starters, it says short answer. You could be very successful in podcasting with my manifestor energy, my voice, and my emotional depth. Mind you, I don't tell ChatGPT much about me. I just entered in the little picture of the screenshot that I had got. And from there, it pulled my manifestor energy, my voice, and my emotional depth. I'm a manifester. I'm somebody who sits on an idea, no matter how long it takes. I will let it ride, knowing that one day it's eventually going to land. And that's basically what I did with this. Like, I knew as a kid growing up, I was going to do something like this. And here I am, doing something like this. My emotional authority, like basically how I operate as a person, is through depth and realness. It says my power comes from emotional honesty over time. I am not surface level. I am meant to talk through experiences, share emotional insight, and let people know and feel my truth. This is what makes podcasts addictive. People feel you, not just hear you. And I feel like I said that on episode 1. I want people to feel what I gotta say, you know? Like one of be saying, I don't want to talk at nobody. I want to talk to y'all, you know? I want to talk to your heart. I want to talk to you at the core of your being. Number 3, it says strong throat expression, manifestor trait. Manifestors are here to speak, initiate, and impact through their voice. Your voice carries energetic authority. People either listen to feel moved or they feel challenged. Podcasting is one of the purest ways to activate my design. Now, when we get into astrology and how all that works, that's going to be a whole different topic for a different day. But it says, based on my sign and the energy that I present, I'm literally built for talking. I'm a natural quick thinker, observant, story-driven, and expressive. I won't ever run out of things to say. I just have to start speaking consistently. And little kid me did not know what a human design chart was. Little kid me did not know that there's a cosmic story that's literally written in the stars for you. ChatGPT didn't know who I was before I put that in there. So it's like that thing that is pulling on your heart, that thing that is telling you to move, is because that's what you're meant to do. Like, that's your life mission. Like, it's so crazy because even with us not knowing consciously, subconsciously, we know who we are. Like, at the root of everything, we know. Like, our body and our hearts and our minds and our souls, they genuinely do know. And, you know, because we're coming to an end. I think it's roughly an hour. I forgot to start my clock. But I thought I pressed it. But as we're coming to an end, I just want to say that I am currently in all 3 persons. And after going through life genuinely so confused, not knowing who I wanted to be and allowing the people around me to tell me who I was, I lost myself. I lost the sense of self. I lost the purpose of my mission. And like everybody else told me, there was a reason I held on. There was a reason I pushed every single day. There was a reason why, no matter what, I never gave up. Like, I was meant to be here. And I was meant to express my voice. And to have the stars aligned and to have the platform that I have currently, I am nothing but appreciative because little girl in me is really spirit. And with that, I say good night.